All right, so
Uh-oh.
Tom Pelissero had a report on NFL.com about Shedeur Sanders, just things he's heard, so on and so forth.
You were going down a different direction.
No.
This is a much better direction.
This one's a little safer.
So we're going to steer clear, it sounds like. All right. Go ahead.
So according to Tom Pelissero, the latest report on Shedeur, one longtime NFL assistant coach said his time with Sanders was, quote, the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. Said one longtime AFC executive, it didn't go great in our interview. He wants to dictate what he's going to do and what's best for him. He makes you feel small. Even some of Sanders' fans expressed disappointment he didn't take a bigger step forward as a senior. I liked him the year before, said one NFC GM. They did change coordinators, but it just felt different. It felt less athletic, less arm talent. Everything felt less. If you're talking about this year's tape versus Jackson Dart and Shedeur, I don't think it was particularly close. So, one last opportunity to get your licks in on Shedeur Sanders before somebody takes him in the first round, and we all forget that this ever happened, but he's the big name in the draft, and he's getting body shots left and right all the way up until the announcements are made coming up tomorrow night.
And it happens every year. You know, this happens every year. Someone gets bashed, and they start bad-mouthing them, what have you. I do hate that people don't put their names on it. I understand that's how this works, but I would take issue with some of the things they said. Look, as far as his personality and all that, he is who he is. He's going to be who he wants to be. If he's trying to dictate how he wants things to go for him, I think every single player would like to do that. In fact, they have their entire life up until this point of the draft. They get to pick and choose where they go to college. They got to pick and choose where they're going to transfer after Jackson State to go to CU. So all those things, like every single football player has the opportunity to dictate to some degree how this is all going to work. There's actually never been a time in college football history where players had more power. The opportunity to transfer if they want with the transfer portal and how open it is. The opportunity to leverage their market value. That doesn't mean it's always going to work out in the end the way they hope it will, a la Nico. But they've never had more power ever. So this is a generation that through high school into college now has had more power than ever before in order to dictate what they're going to do. Now, that doesn't mean that they're always going to get it right and they're going to say the right things and do the things that they're supposed to do, or you'd like to hear them do if you're a NFL franchise. But this is a different generation of player. Like the mentality, I talked about this before, just how even parents look at high school now and having their kid in junior high, because in 40 states they can now get NIL money in high school. So the process starts a lot earlier. It changes the mindset of all these players. But in regards to the film, to sit there and say never, like I would 100% disagree with that. I've watched all of Shedeur Sanders' throws from last year, and to say he never throws with anticipation, that's BS. To say he doesn't show arm talent, that's BS. I mean, literally, go back and look at the Baylor Hail Mary throw. He's rolling to his left being chased, and he literally flicks it down the field 40 plus, 50 yards, whatever it is. What is that? Not arm talent? It's not his lower body. He's not addressing the throw. So there's the throw before that was also a heck of a throw. So there's an example for you right there that is thrown back into the face of whoever this is at the NFL level. And again, I'm not going to try to go at that angle. But what I would challenge is this. At the college level, all you're trying to do as far as what you're evaluating at the NFL level is see if they have the ability to do it. None of these offenses ask these guys to throw with anticipation or in certain portions of the field every single time they step out there. They just don't. I mean, some of these systems, it's such a stark transition for the quarterback to go to the NFL, because when they clap their hands and then they look at the sidelines, they're getting in a play that's basically telling them who to throw the football to. In the NFL, you don't have any of that. So all you really need to see from the tape and from this entire process of evaluating these quarterbacks are, have they shown the ability to do that some of the times? Like, do they have the capability of doing it? If they have the capability of throwing with anticipation, throwing with accuracy, whether it's the arm strength to make all the throws they need to make, the football IQ to make the right decision and go to the right spot with the ball when they're asked to. Because they're obviously performing at a high enough level at the place they're at, being asked to do what their system's asking them to do. That's why you're evaluating them in the first place. But that doesn't mean that they're going to like all of a sudden they're going to be able to do every single thing you're asking them to do on a consistent basis at the NFL level. It's apples to oranges. So I take issue with people bashing, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or a lot of these other, not only college quarterbacks, but college players, because they're not being asked to do pro things at that level all the time. It's not the NFL. So obviously you're not going to be able to see that all the time on film. You just hope they're playing the way they're being coached to at that level to the best of their ability, and then you hope they can adjust and they can grow and develop once you get them in the NFL. So I hate hearing this stuff because it's unnecessary, and to be quite frank, it shows a bit of the ignorance too at the NFL level with how they're talking about some of these kids.
To me, that's where I have a problem. I don't have a problem with you doing your job. You're hired to do a job, and you want to do breakdowns of the players and stuff like that. That's fine. No problem if you have an opinion about that man's talent and how that works. But when you get into, he made me feel small, if I'm hiring and I have people working for me, and their job is to find the best prospect and the best person to fill a position at my company, and you come back and you tell me that one of the reasons why you don't want to hire him is because he makes me feel small, I got to let you go. You can't work for me, because there's something about you that's going to cost us our possibility of having success, because you're making it personal. You're letting your feelings, your own personal feelings, get involved, and this is business. If that man can come in and improve our team and make us better, you mean to tell me you feel a certain type of way because he made you feel small? Is that about Shedeur Sanders, or is that about you? Like, to even let that come out of your mouth, that says a whole lot to me about how you feel about yourself. Now I need to be evaluating you as an evaluator, because how can you possibly fairly judge and measure this prospect, this person, if you've already jumped into your feelings about how he made you feel? Like, okay, you could feel like, okay, this guy comes in, he exudes what I feel a leader exudes. He doesn't exude what a leader exudes. He comes across to me as arrogant or da-da-da. You can make observations about people's personalities without making it personal. I feel like whoever this person is that released this to Tom Pelissero about what's going on he let his personal emotions get involved with. Tell me how you feel about all the other prospects, buddy. How do you feel? What is your assessment on all the other guys? I mean, a lot of these guys have very, very strong personalities. If you haven't been around, Cam Ward's name hasn't popped up a lot. He's played this perfectly. He's allowed Shedeur and his popularity and fame to capture all of the headlines. He doesn't do anything that puts him out front. So he's done an excellent job. But if you know who Cam Ward is, you've been around him, there are even videos of him and Shedeur mixing it up. He's a super, super overly confident dude. Nothing wrong with it. Abdul Carter told y'all, I'm the number one guy in the draft. I should go number one. I should win the Heisman. I am the best player in this year's NFL draft. He told y'all plenty of times. Overly super confident in himself. None of these things in self-confidence, the self-confidence that these guys exude should not, in the game of football, in the game of football, none of those things should be offensive or should be taken personally by the people who are evaluating the talents. I think that's the disqualifier for me right there, out the gate. I'll tell you what, if I'm about to, like when we say football, think about if it's in the medical industry. I don't want somebody coming in to do, if you ever met Dr. Andrews, Dr. Andrews is one of the most confident dudes you'll ever meet. Doc, can you fix it? Yeah, if it's there, I can do it. If it's a body part on that knee, I can do it. Like, I don't want you coming in and be like, I don't know. I don't really know if I can get it done. I don't really know if I'm good enough to do it. Like, what do you mean he made you feel small? Like, that's ridiculous, man. You need to take a look in the mirror. You need to address yourself. Like, I am bigger. I am big.
This is the part that
I'm not small.
This is the part that I've never understood when it comes to these reports about who you don't like and who rubbed you the wrong way in the draft process and the interview process. If you don't like him that much, don't draft him. It's not that hard. Like, I don't like his personality. I don't think he's a good player. Don't draft him. That's fine. You get to make your choice. This does feel like he's got a name attached to it, and so it's open season. He's arrogant. He's this. He's that. Like, man, I don't know. Like, if you don't like him, don't take the guy. But it feels like this piling on is happening a lot more to Shedeur Sanders than it has in other prospects in previous years.
I don't think the jersey retirement helps it either. I just think the timing of the jersey retirement kind of adds fuel to the fire. It makes him an easy target, man.
Yeah. They didn't do him any favors in that regard. And look, I feel for him. I feel for some of the other prospects, too, who, they get bashed for various reasons. I mean, how many teams, Jonas, you said this before, how many teams wish they would have, pushed aside some of the stuff you heard about Jalen Carter? The reality is we're all humans. And whether or not we want to admit it, we get jealous. And if you want to go find someone who doesn't like a top prospect in the NFL draft, you will find them. You'll find them on the team they just played for. Even if they look to be the most beloved guy on their team, you'll find a coach who didn't like him at some point, a teacher who didn't like him at some point. They do such extensive background checks on a lot of the first-round draft picks that you will find someone who's jealous. I mean, there's constant, reminders. Like in my life, I can think back to whether it was a teacher here or there, and one particular guy in the back of my mind. There's constant reminders of those things. Where like if they had talked to him, like I'm sure they'd say bad things, because they're more frustrated about how their life went and they don't want to see other people be happy. That's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And so the fact that some of this stuff comes out to surface.
Every Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Every time we're on Radio Row at Super Bowl, I'm like looking at Brady like, mother effer. I'm going to kick his ass.
I don't.
Just get out of here.
Oh, what do you mean? Like, what are you? What are
you don't count.
First
you're
off,
a vampire.
no one was saying.
You're a vampire.
No one was saying any of this.
I exercise my jealousy all the time.
Which night did we get hammered? Was it Wednesday night or Thursday night?
Thursday night.
Yeah, no one was saying anything Friday. All right, we were just trying to make sure we did our job.
Brady was trying not to puke.
For at least the first 6. By the way, that was the last time I felt like that in a while.
By the way,
but the general point is, and I think you guys could agree, like even now being on a radio show, there's going to be people who are still like jealous of the opportunity. Guys who either wish they're in your spot or they don't want to see you succeed, right? They hate us because whatever the case may be. And so that it kind of falls in this category a bit for me. I will go back to one thing though, too. I love telling this story, and I'm not going to say what head coach it was, but I remember asking about the responsibilities that they put on their quarterback. And the coach looks at me and he goes, "Hey man, you see that house right over there?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Nice house, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it's a really nice house." He goes, "That's mine." And I go, "Oh, really?" And I was like, and then we kind of went down this winding road of, well, it's kind of close and all this stuff. And he goes, "Well, yeah, that's because we can bring recruits there and it doesn't count against certain visits if it's in a certain proximity to campus." And he goes, "But you know what? I want to tell you that." I said, "Why's that?" He goes, "Because I got a big mortgage on that thing." I go, "Oh, yeah, I could imagine that." And he goes, "And I'm sure as hell not going to allow an 18 to 22-year-old to dictate whether or not I can pay that mortgage with the decision-making out there on the field." He goes, "So I am going to make sure that the plays I give him, I am telling him where to go with the football." And I said, All right. Well, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I 100% get that. So just so people understand at home, like that's the mentality. Is like, there's a lot of coaches who want to keep control, and they want to make sure they're just like, look, I know I've got the right play call. If you just go execute, or if I put the ball in this playmaker's hands, I know good things will happen. Like, that's sometimes as complicated as it gets at that level. And so when you're asking these guys then to go to the NFL level where they're saying, hey, what's the front? Okay. What's the coverage configuration? Are they going to pressure or are they not? Like, do I need to make a check here? Do I need to run the opposite side, run at him, or change the mic identification? Do I need to change the protection? Do I need to change the route? Should I get back up in a shotgun? Are they mugging up? Is that going to change how the offensive linemen protect versus if I'm under center versus in the gun? These are running through your head at a rapid pace within the 2 to 3 seconds from you breaking a huddle and walking to the line of scrimmage. That's all what's going through your head. You have a protocol. And at the NFL level, it's an entirely different experience than in college. So, again, I hate hearing this stuff, but I understand because of the last name, that's what's going to come with it.